All right. Oh, my hair looked like crap. All right, we are on Exodus 1:1. We're going to go ahead and start with a preface. Also, I am probably going to go ahead and start interjecting some commentary just to make things a little more interesting. Personalize things a little bit. Why can't you know what? That's all right. It's fine. It's fine. It'll do. All right. So the author of Exodus is Moses, according to tradition. The date Exodus was written was 1450 to 1410 BC. Content. Every country has its own national history, a record of the events leading to the nation's independence. The book of Exodus records Israel's natural history, recounting the earliest years of the nation and of God's covenant with them. Exodus takes its name from the main event of the book, the Israelites' deliverance from slavery in Egypt. The book begins with a short account of how the Israelites became slaves in Egypt. The focus then shifts to the birth and life of Moses, God's chosen leader for Israel. From a burning bush in the Sinai desert, God called Moses to return to his homeland of Egypt and lead the Israelites to freedom. But Pharaoh refused to free the Israelites and set in motion God's 10 devastating plagues upon Egypt. The final plague not only changed Pharaoh's mind, but became a memorial of God's deliverance. Celebrated in the observance of Passover, once set free, the Israelites traveled to the wilderness of Sinai to worship God. But Pharaoh chased the Israelites to the Red Sea, where God displayed his power by parting the sea for the Israelites to cross and then closing it over the pursuing Egyptians. The Israelites were then free to travel to Mount Sinai. Their God established his covenant with them, giving them the 10 Commandments and plans for the tabernacle. After the Israelites constructed the tabernacle, God filled it with his glory, signifying his presence with them. Exodus 1:1. The Israelites in Egypt. These are the names of the sons of Israel, that is, Jacob, who moved to Egypt with their father, each with his family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. In all, Jacob had 70 descendants in Egypt, including Joseph, who was already there. In time, Joseph and all his brothers died, ending that entire generation. But their descendants, the Israelites, had many children and grandchildren. In fact, they multiplied so greatly that they became extremely powerful and filled the land. Eventually, a new king came to power in Egypt, who knew nothing about Joseph or what he had done. He said to his people, "Look, the people of Israel now outnumber us and are stronger than we are. We must make a plan to keep them from growing even more. If we don't, and if war breaks out, they will join our enemies and fight against us. Then they will escape from the country." So the Egyptians made the Israelites their slaves. They appointed brutal slave drivers over them, hoping to wear them down with crushing labor. They forced them to build cities of Pithom and Ramses as supply centers for the king. But the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more the Israelites multiplied and spread, and the more alarmed the Egyptians became. So the Egyptians worked the people of Israel without mercy. They made their lives bitter, forcing them to mix mortar and make bricks and do all the work in the fields. They were ruthless in all their demands. Then Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, gave this order to the Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah: "When you help the Hebrew women as they give birth, watch as they deliver. If the baby is a boy, kill him. If it is a girl, let her live." But because the midwives are feared, but because the midwives feared God, they refused to obey the king's orders. They allowed the boys to live too. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives. "Why have you done this?" he demanded. "Why have you allowed the boys to live?" "The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women," the midwives replied. "They are more vigorous and have their babies so quickly that we cannot get there in time." So God was good to the midwives, and the Israelites continued to multiply, growing more and more powerful. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people: "Throw away every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile River, but you may let the girls live." Genesis 1.